should there be concern with Jimmy G in San Francisco as the main man?
Well, I'm not going to say there should be concerns because of a practice session. I mean, I'm not going to be that ridiculous. But Porn Star Jimmy, that's my nickname for him. You call him Jimmy G. I call him Porn Star Jimmy. And by the way, that is not an insult. That is not an insult. Matter of fact, one would say it's a compliment. But the point is, the bottom line is.
Stop while you're ahead. Keep going.
The bottom line is that Jimmy G, Porn Star Jimmy, Mr. Garoppolo, whatever you want to call him, did complete less than 60% of his passes in his 3 starts last year. He did throw 3 interceptions last year. All I'm trying to sit up there and say is, look, everybody act like this dude is the second coming because, you know what, his first time in San Francisco after Bill Belichick just gave him away for a box of cookies to the San Francisco 49ers, okay? You gave him away because you were upset you couldn't keep him because Mr. Kraft didn't want you to keep him because he's going to believe in Brady and ride with Brady, and that has proven to be the right situation right now. The bottom line is when you look at Jimmy G, there are still some question marks as to what he's going to bring to the table. Yes, he did win his first 5 games, his last 5 games of the season, by the way, when he was in San Francisco. Last year, he started out 1-2, got injured in that 3rd game. I understand that. But the jury's still out. I'm not saying that Jimmy G can't play. I know he can play, all right? I'm not saying that he's not going to be a star. He probably might be. But we haven't seen it yet. And for folks to walk around and to act like he earned that $137 million contract, $72 million in guaranteed dollars at the time, like he's earned that, I mean, I beg to differ. I would like to see more. We're going to see whatever it is that we're going to see from San Francisco, and we'll go from there.
I don't think anyone thinks he's earned it. I do think that that the contract came with a lot of risk, and he's now had injury. And as you said, his completion percentage down the field is not what you want to see it, where you want to see it. But the fact is, this is not just a backup quarterback who Belichick had play well for a minute. This was a guy who Belichick tapped as the heir apparent, obviously. He chose him not only over Tom Brady, but really Brissett also. He had the GOAT on the team, who's an older guy, and a good young prospect on the team, and said, nope, it's that guy. And then who gave him $137 million, $72 million guaranteed, as you mentioned? Was it an offensive coordinator turned head coach who didn't know what he was doing? Or was it a guy who clearly knows NFL offenses? I mean, even look at the Falcons' offense once Shanahan left.
Who blew a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl. Keep going.
Blew a what in the Super Bowl, did you say?
25-point lead.
So they had a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl, correct?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Shanahan knows offense. The offense got worse when Shanahan left.
Remember, one of those was an interception, a pick 6 on the part of Tom Brady. Let's not forget that.
Still, it's a couple touchdowns, more than a couple touchdowns of a lead based on the offense under Shanahan, right? Ask Julio Jones what he thinks about Shanahan at this point, right? Obviously, he's not just, in other words, if you plot all the offensive coordinators and now Shanahan's a head coach on a bell curve, a lot of them kind of cancel each other because they're in the middle, and some people are on the far right end, and that's where Shanahan seems to be. So that guy looked at Jimmy G and said, Garoppolo, we're going to give him some money. I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic about Garoppolo's chances. But should there be concern? Yes, because of what you mentioned, but not because of a preseason, not even game, a practice. Are we now at the point where a guy, maybe he's forcing a little bit, or it's a and we're saying he threw, I agree, 5 consecutive plays to the wrong team, throws to the wrong team is bad, even in a practice, sure. But we're really going to sound the alarm because of interceptions thrown in a team practice.
Not at all. That's why I said I prefaced my comments by saying, please, it's just a practice. Who cares? Practice is where you're supposed to make these mistakes.
Right.
Okay, so it's no big deal. All I'm saying is I'm looking at the resume in New England, the resume in San Francisco, and I'm saying the jury is still out. Why? Because if Belichick is what we believe him to be, the greatest coach of the modern era, if not the greatest coach ever, the bottom line is he could have benefited from that.
Sure.
We'll see.
Well, I mean, yeah, but then, look, of course the jury's out, but Bill Belichick and Kyle Shanahan both looked at Jimmy G and said, I want that guy to be the quarterback. Belichick to the point where Tom Brady had to go to Robert Kraft to short-circuit it, and Shanahan to the point where the 49ers gave him $72 million guaranteed. There's a reason for that, and it's not because he's handsome. It's because there are really smart football people who've achieved on the highest possible level, saying that guy can win a Super Bowl.
Max, the last point, Molly, I'd like to make is this. Max Kellerman, we've been on this show on several occasions discussing and debating a whole bunch of quarterbacks that are getting money that may not necessarily deserve it. So let's keep that in mind as well. Don't look at the money that he's making as validation of how good he is when we can point to a plethora of situations where quarterbacks are getting paid and they don't necessarily deserve that money.
Who is giving them the money?
Practice. We're talking practice. No need to overreact, whether it's 5 picks or 5 touchdowns. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.